Welcome to the simpliHŌM podcast, where we educate, inspire, and entertain real estate entrepreneurs seeking a casual and practical podcast. We're here to simplify your life and business.
You can find growth anywhere. And as long as you have an open mind and take those opportunities to learn, then you're going to grow from it.
The easiest thing too is just always being in your zone of genius. What you are passionate about and are good at.
The mindset shift is drastic when you're thinking of I am this person as opposed to I want to become or one day I will be is huge.
I feel like a lot of real estate companies have been putting a focus on themselves, basically. Recently, we've been putting it on the agents, and that's when our socials have been doing the best. It's become really personal, and we've gotten a lot more traction.
What is up? Welcome back to the simpliHŌM podcast. I am your guest host. I'm your host. I'm not your guest. I might be your guest. I'm the host, no. Sean Miku, CEO and founder of simpliHŌM. And this will be the last podcast for a little bit. We're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to go and launch a season 2 and do a refresher. But the actual guest is my good friend Flavius. Thank you for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me, man. It's an honor to be here.
Yeah, thank you. So Flavius and I met. We had we were at a mentor program thing. Joshua Smith.
Yep.
Down in Clearwater, right?
Yeah.
I think. And we were both, I think, a little bit drunk at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and we ran into each other.
There's no proof of that. So
no proof. Or maybe it was just me. Who knows? I said, man, where are you from? And he's like, I'm in Nashville. I was like, wait, what? Me too. And the rest is history.
Yeah, that's right.
We've been working. That was May of 21.
That was May of 21. We met the final night, which was like a Sunday night. And Tuesday morning, I was in your office and we were having a conversation.
That's right. Yeah. And so then Flavius was in our office. He rented an office right down the hall. He got to deal with all the Nerf gun shenanigans that we had all the time. He was on camera all the time with a camera in his face, and he couldn't be productive because we were too loud, and he liked to do phone calls.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Oh, and you had Sage next to you.
I had Sage next to me. I think that was more distracting. And I think we were distracting each other because we were both on the phone quite a bit. So, yeah.
And then he came to me one day and he said, hey, I have an opportunity to pursue one of my real goals in life, and that is the development side of the business. Yep. And so can I break my lease? And I was like, only for you, my friend, only for you. So how long have you been doing it now?
I started officially right around Thanksgiving. So about 8-9 months now.
Wow, really?
Yeah. Time flies. I know. That's crazy.
All right. Yeah. And you've been licensed how long?
I've been licensed for 2.5 years now.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And what drew you to I want to be in the developing, building, getting muddy and carrying drywall boards everywhere?
Yeah, sure. No, that's a great question. So it actually started in my youth. I've always been around the construction, the trades. I used to kind of, build and rehab houses with my dad. And before I actually moved to Nashville, I knew that I was gonna develop, that I was gonna be building something. Before moving to Nashville, I'm originally from Chicago. I did some research, and then I would hear people talk about Nashville. So I said, okay, maybe this is the next chapter for me. But I didn't commit until I was like, well, let me go check it out. So I drove down early on a Sunday morning, had like a Sunday fun day. I was here for like maybe 8 hours, and I was just kind of looking around all the development, all the cranes, all the growth potential opportunity. And this was in 2016, 2017, right? So it wasn't even as crazy as it is right now. And I said, this is where I'm going to be. And so it kind of stems back to what I always envisioned for myself. It was a piece of what I wanted to do long before this opportunity came up.
Yeah. Is your dad still flipping and rehabbing and stuff? Or
my dad is actually a very, very talented carpenter. So he does like interior custom staircases and custom trim work and stuff like that up in Chicago.
Got you. And I assume you were married at that time? Were you married already? When you came down to visit Nashville?
Actually, I was divorced at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't married. Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
I was gonna say, how do you convince everyone to like move?
Yeah. It was still kind of like a, separate household kind of move.
Yeah.
Where, everybody kind of moved, but it was a, best decision for all of us.
Yeah.
And then since then I've been, remarried and so forth. And
perfect.
yeah.
All right. So you went to work, I think you said you were kind of like learning the development side from your current position, right? And it just more on-site stuff that you were doing.
Right.
And then you have all the background from watching your dad doing it and helping your dad when you were younger.
Right. So it wasn't daunting for me to kind of go full on into development.
Right.
There was a lot of things that I knew, but there was a lot of things that I was, pretty green with. So this was an opportunity to be like, okay, well, I'm not starting from scratch,
right,
but there's still a lot to learn that I'm learning, every single day. So
what has been the biggest challenge in that transition?
Man, the biggest challenge in the transition into is just being coachable and taking advice from the right people. I think that's kind of a challenge sometimes that you're like, I don't know if actually, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just going from like being on the phones all the time, which kudos, because I could never do that.
Yeah.
I get nervous thinking about cold calling, to being on site. I mean, there's so much that goes into the development side, the new construction side in general. And just as a realtor, there's so much that goes into the new construction side,
yep,
right? Like people go in, they walk through these beautiful model homes, and then they like see a part of the process, but there's a bunch of the process they don't see.
Right.
Dealing with codes, planning, zoning, engineers, architects, all of that stuff.
Okay, so I do have an answer for you. The on-site aspect of it hasn't been as difficult because I have a partner and we kind of are like spearheading it together. And that's been super beneficial because you're able, if you ever have to kind of divide and conquer, oh yeah, we have a fire, it needs to be put out, but it requires multiple aspects of it. All right, you go do this, I go do this, and it cuts the time in half. The biggest challenge has been kind of going through the bureaucracy and the permits and inspections and so forth. The development that we're involved in right now required quite a bit of work before we even put a shovel in the ground, and that was a challenge. That took a lot of planning, a lot of campaigning, a lot of getting a lot of different people from different roles to be all on the same page and give us a green light so we could go ahead and proceed.
Yeah.
So that's a better answer to your question.
Okay. Yeah, the bureaucracy is always a blast.
Yeah.
Where is it in Davidson County?
It is not. It's in Wilson County.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that was a good choice. I've talked to several of our agents who have Davidson County builds going on right now, and it's taking like 9 months or more just to get like approvals, which is crazy.
Yep.
And then I heard the other day that Springfield just passed I think it's a $10,000 impact fee.
Yeah.
I was like, Davidson County is like 1,500 last I checked. So crazy. Anyway.
Yeah, we came across that. It was the finest print that you could see on the application form.
Yeah,
and
that makes sense.
And we have everything. I mean, we went there several times at the office. We had everything lined up. Like, okay, ready. Where's your impact fee? What are you talking about? Oh yeah, you got to go get this. And that was about $5,000 a unit.
Ouch.
Unexpected.
That's always helpful, right?
Yeah.
What margins?
Yeah. It's okay.
We don't do this for money. We do this for experience.
Yeah.
All right, take me back a little bit. What did you grew up in Chicago. Your dad is a carpenter. What was your story that led you to getting into real estate?
I believe in it.
Okay.
I've done.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I heard people talk about all the time. If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I'm not saying real estate is easy, development is easy, but if you're passionate about it, it makes it that much more likely that you're going to get through the difficult times. You're going to have difficulties, and not just get through, but actually like thrive, because there's something deeper that's pushing you. Sold insurance. I was terrible at it. learned a lot of valuable skills.
I didn't know you sold insurance.
I sold insurance, not very well, but I was a licensed insurance agent for a while. Yeah. But it was one of those things that toughened me up, taught me a lot of great sales skills. I was in telecom for a long time, 11 years. It was great. At one point, met a lot of awesome people, but again, it wasn't something I was passionate about. I wasn't passionate, and you wouldn't catch me at like a dinner party talking about cybersecurity or like, it's like, okay, I doesn't interest me, right? People love it. People are passionate about that, but that just wasn't me. Real estate was something that, first off, I was passionate about. I believe in, home ownership. I believe in, having, a roof over your head and using it as a tool for, investment or, just having a safe, secure place that, you could call your own. And so, yeah, that was it. Plus, it doesn't hurt that it's pretty recession proof if you do it the right way. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I can make money doing something that I'm passionate about, something that serves and helps people. Yeah. Okay. I'm game. I'm in.
Yeah. Fair enough. Are you still actively investing, or is all of your time right now focused on the development?
Well, the developments, I'm invested in those developments. So I'm not investing in projects that I'm not a part of.
That makes sense.
So
yeah. Do you think that going through this process, you're going to have like all of the knowledge necessary to really start developing any developments on your own? Or is it something that it's just like every day you come across something new and you feel like you want to be here for a little bit to...
Yeah, it'll probably take years, to get to that point. And I see the value in having reliable partnerships. So at this point, I have no interest in going off on my own. Number one, I'm not ready to go off and develop, on my own. Well, if I were to do it, could I do it? Yeah. Do I want to pay the price and go through those difficulties? Yeah, probably not. You know, there's no rush. There's no time clock for me to be able to do this at a certain amount of time. Yeah. Let it kind of take its course. So yeah.
Yeah. What's the thing that you're most excited about with the development process and the future?
Man, just seeing it come together. Yeah. Just seeing it come together and understanding how every piece kind of, goes on top of it. But, all the prerequisite work that has to be done before you even put a shovel on the ground, the infrastructure and developing the lots and stuff and so forth. That's what is exciting. That's what's dirty. That's what a lot of people don't want to do. It's expensive if you get it wrong, but we're again, we have great partnerships. We have the right people in the right seats, and I'm just humble to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's cool. We have so many builder relationships inside of the company now. I mean, I think we probably work with 20 or so separate builders. And it's interesting seeing the different ways that the builders analyze the deals, the way that the developers want to analyze the deals, et cetera. And there have been numerous times when we'll get like an off-market development opportunity that comes up, and I sent it out to a few people, and they're like, oh, well, I don't want paper lots. I want this, or I want that, or this other thing. Yep. And it's been a bit of a challenge, but we have so many people in the company now that are just rock solid in this stuff, pun intended, maybe. Like, for example, one of our guys, Parker, he's been in the land development side for 30 plus years here in Middle Tennessee. So he has relationships with all the big builders, and anytime something big comes up, now I just like toss it to him and he can just like analyze it in no time flat. Yep. I personally have always struggled with the analysis of like, hey, let's take this land and then turn it into this development with all these lots, and then let's turn these lots into profit and turn these into builds. It's never been something that I've been able to really wrap my head around. Do you feel that the niche component is something that is really difficult for people to get into, or is it something that anyone could potentially get into? Is it like all a relationship game that has people like blocked out for the most part, or you can just roll the dice and be like, here's a piece of land, I'm going to go figure it out?
It's very expensive to do it that way. So that's why I think relationships and kind of working in a kind of apprenticeship kind of partnership, helps people get into the development side. Because, if somebody has the capital and they have all the equipment and then just hire, a consultant to help them, will they be successful? Yeah, probably. But, they will probably have to go through a lot of failures before getting to that point.
Yeah.
Your everyday person like myself or anybody else that I know that doesn't have, $50 million in their bank account probably won't be able to do that. You know what I mean? So
pennies, pennies.
Exactly.
No big deal. Tell me about your project.
So my project right now that we have going on, it is a townhouse community on a golf course, maintenance-free living, 4-bed, 3-bath, 2,400 square feet, turnkey, beautiful, in Wilson County.
Okay.
So
you're 20 minutes to Nashville?
About 25. Yeah, we're just under 20 minutes to the airport.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So
okay.
very, very convenient, maintenance free, beautiful, right on the golf course.
Yeah. Are all of them on the golf course?
They're not all golf. They all have golf course views.
Gotcha.
But most of them are.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. And is there like an extra buy-in to the course or anything, or?
There is. So the HOA association fee act gives you, kind of basic landscape and so forth, but there is a different tier with the golf course for golf course membership.
Nice.
The cool thing is like the clubhouse, you could see right into the development from the clubhouse. So it's
cool.
Very beautiful, very cool, very quiet. You don't hear a thing.
That's awesome.
Unless we have our equipment running, but usually, if we're at the end of the day or first thing in the morning, you don't hear a thing. So it's very beautiful.
Yeah. And how many units is it?
Right now we have 3 coming on the market, and then we're hoping to start another 4 here in the next week or 2.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. And then do you have any other future projects coming up?
So it's a total of 21 units in that subdivision. Yeah. So those, we're hoping that by this time next year, we'll be on the tail end of all 21 being ready to hit the market. Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And is golf course kind of a thing that you guys are going to target in the future, or is that just kind of the way it fell on this deal?
No. The way that it just so happened. It's been on the market. It kind of sat idle for about 7-8 years because there was a lot of pre-work that needed to be done. Agreements with the city and the homeowners association and so forth. There was a lot of infrastructure that needed to be fixed, replaced, brought up to current standards. Gotcha. And that's why it was just on the market, or nobody did anything with it for a very long time.
Yeah.
So it was an ugly puppy.
And that's where the money's made.
That's where it is, right? So that's why we're able to kind of go through. That was the longest part of the process, is that we had to go through and make those investments, time investment, energy investment, and get to a point where we could say, okay, yes, we could move forward.
Yeah. So it's no secret that since you joined this partnership 8-9 months ago, whenever that was, that the world has been in a state of chaos to some degree.
Really?
Yeah. Surprisingly. Have any of the supply chain issues, like early on, did that affect your guys, getting started, or bring any concerns, I guess? It
did. Windows are still pretty far out. Everything else is not astronomical. I have, relationships and friends in different parts of the country, out west and Chicago. And, thank God we've been not as bad as some of them are out there for whatever reason. Maybe different kind of materials, or different kind of standards, different kind of windows, so forth. But windows are still pretty far out. Lumber just fluctuates.
Yeah,
so much.
I saw it was up 18% or something yesterday. It's probably back down after the CPI report today. Though.
Yeah. So when we first did our budget early on in the year for the first building, the 3-plex, we got lucky that we did our budget numbers when the lumber was high. Then it dipped, and then when it was time to order it again, it got high again. So, but at least we didn't lose on it. Yeah. So it came down quite a bit. We got our preliminary, budget numbers for the fourplex across the street, and it's much better. Much better. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Has the inflation's affected lumber, but rising market, mortgage rates and all that stuff. Has there been any concern between you and your partners as to how that might impact the sale timing or speed or anything like that?
Absolutely. So, we're watching it closely. Every week we're monitoring, what's happening. But, based on the research that we've done, our area, the Nashville, Middle Tennessee area, is still a better option than anywhere else in the country, right? So interest rates are going to rise, more, payments are going to rise. Gas is, going to be expensive. It's still going to be less expensive in the Middle Tennessee area than it is going to be out west or, in other parts of the country that, places that we're seeing the people come from. Yeah. So, that was a concern. We're watching it closely. We're trying to stay on budget, time and cost. So we're trying to mitigate and kind of,
play the game,
go through it as best we can, not get careless, not get over leveraged, but at the same time, not completely ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw new starts are down pretty heavily. But again, that's a national number. So like you look at Nashville, I don't know if you saw the post that was going around a few weeks ago with the new skyline.
I did. Yeah.
I was like, okay.
That was beautiful.
It's going to be amazing. Yeah. But, and I was shocked to learn yesterday, maybe I'm just an idiot behind the times, but I was shocked to learn yesterday that Nashville is the 21st largest metro in the country. I had no idea. I was like, to me, it feels still like a small town. Yeah. Like you don't get that big. Like you go to Chicago, it's top 5. Yeah. And it feels like top 5. Yep. You go to Atlanta, it's top 5. Feels like top 5. And you go to Nashville and you're like, oh, that's a cute little town.
Yeah. Not anymore.
Not anymore. And Wilson County, that's a really great place for you guys to go. The theme park is going out in that direction. Yep. Everything's pushing out, affordability in downtown Nashville core is not there. And I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before. It used to be in Nashville where you had like the Nashville inner core, which was inside the 440 loop. Yep. And that's where affordability was kind of judged. And then it got pushed out to like the 840 loop. And at this point, I'm starting to think like the average consumer is going to end up outside of the 840 loop because even in the 840 loop is too elevated in price. Yep. You agree?
I do. And we're just outside of that 840 loop. And to kind of go back to what you were saying about, new builds are down nationwide. You drive anywhere. I haven't driven much through new developments in other counties, but in Wilson County,
exploding.
Nobody's slowing down, you know? So, and we're having these discussions with our vendors, with our lumber yards, and we're constantly asking for feedback. What are you seeing? Or are the bigger guys kind of slowing down? Is, what's happening? Are you seeing a big drop off in, people ordering packages and so forth? Slightly, yes, people are kind of, getting, maybe a little bit more conservative, but nobody's slamming the brakes.
Yeah. Yep. It's, the CPI came out today, and it was, report was unchanged, which is why the market went bloop through the roof, because it shows, we're at peak essentially. I heard this morning that the likelihood of a 75 bip to a 100 bip bump in the rate is unlikely. Yep. Most likely is 25 to 50, so they don't overdo it. For a while, I feel like the educated, those who are really going out and like doing the research and looking at the market, and we've talked about this too at one of our connects, how everything's literally just going to stabilize. And there were some headlines the other day, some nice clickbait as usual, that were talking about how real estate's landing might not be as soft as expected. And then literally last night I saw one that goes, real estate poised for soft landing. Yeah. It's just a market stabilization.
That's right.
In Williamson County, for example, I saw a post this morning, 0.8 month inventory is where we've been the last 2 years. 0.8.
Yeah.
It's brutal. Ironically, I came across, well, I didn't, Grant came across and pointed it out to me the other day. We found these old data slides from 2012.
What did they say?
Guess how many houses were active on the market in January of 2012?
I couldn't even tell you because I don't know what the population was like in 2012.
25,000
Wow.
houses active
Wow.
on the market. And for the last several months, we've been sitting at 3,000 or 4,000
Yep.
active. Right now we're sitting at 8,000 and people are still like, oh God, this feels so uncomfortable. And the reality is agents who have been in the business for generally, I would say less than 2 or 3 years, the only thing they've known has been blazing hot, unrealistic
Yep.
market. And you know, I try to tell everyone, and I'm telling you guys who are listening, YouTube, Spotify, wherever you guys are, as the market goes back to normal, it's going to be really everyday occurrence to see houses on the market for 90, 120 days. And you're able to just like take your time.
That's a healthy, that's
it's
a healthy market.
You want to go look at houses? That's fine. Yeah, they'll still be there in a week.
Yeah.
So just let me know when you book your flight.
Yeah.
Oh, you want a closing cost? Yeah, we got you.
Yeah,
You want a price reduction? Yeah, we got that too.
yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. I didn't like the fact that I'm doing a showing, and by the time I get back to the office or get back home, or I'm driving and saying we want to put an offer in, like, all right, it's not even
You get
available.
a ding on the contract.
It's like, okay.
Like, God, I hate
Right.
you. Yeah.
So it's like I've known real estate before it got crazy in the last 3 years because, you know, in the past I've kind of been passively investing. So, you know, and I've kind of purchased my own, kind of moved a couple of times. So I knew kind of like what the standard quote unquote is. So yeah, I'm welcoming the,
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. But so many agents are freaking out, which is leading to, my question is, with agents freaking out because they're not accustomed to it, and with sellers freaking out because they're thinking that the sky is falling, do you have any concerns that those changes will reduce the comps off of what your expectations are?
For my particular project, no, I don't, because we've been very conservative and with our price per square foot and with, you know, our product, that from the beginning, every step of the way, we've been conservative, very conservative in some cases. So yeah, even if, you know, the comps are, you know, come in at, you know, 5-10% less than what we expected, we're still, you know, confident. We've kind of worked that in.
Hedged it.
Yep, we're fine. And you know, our goal is to go, you know, to market with a price that's below the comps to begin with. And the other thing is that, you know, there's not any other product like ours in, you know, scope of size, location, you know, finishes and so forth at that price. So, you know, the comps are what they are. And, you know, we have other, you know, properties that sold, not ours, but, you know, existing units that sold just down the street that are higher in price per square foot than we intend to go to.
Yeah.
And this is within the last like 30 to 60 days.
Okay,
So,
that makes sense. It's unfortunately because agents have been jumping the gun and reducing prices, where we should be seeing, you know, a decline from appreciation going from 21, I guess it was, in the last 12 months to a annual rate of, I think they're saying 4 to 7, right?
Yeah. Single digits.
Single digits, normal.
Yeah.
Weird. But what's happening is people are like freaking out and they're dropping the prices. So I think we might actually see a little bit of a dip in the data where people are the less experienced are causing problems.
Yeah.
All right. So pivot point here. Personally, you are someone, you completed 75 hard, right?
I did.
Yeah.
I'm on day 3 again.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, just make your life hell. That's cool. I have failed it every single time I've tried to pass it, which is 4 times I've failed it. I literally looked at my wife the other day and I said, you know what? I think I'm going to do it again, but I'm not going to tell anyone I'm doing it. I'm just going to do it. And then I'm not going to post about it when I'm done. I'm just going to do it. And I'm just going to live my life and I'm going to be me. And if people see change, cool. If I feel better, that's what I'm aiming for.
Yep.
But with that in mind, you've done it, you've completed it once and now you're starting.
I failed. I stopped keeping count of how many times I failed,
All right,
because the reason, hear me out. The reason is that I say, okay, even if I do 75 hard for, 180 days a year, it's still better than the alternative of not doing it at all.
Yeah.
So even if I, get to day 3, day 4, 15, whatever, and I fail, what I'm telling myself and the key for me is just to get right back in
That's
it
fair.
and just start over.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to post a picture. I forgot to, drink my.
I read 9 pages and fell asleep.
Or I was on vacation. I tried to do it. I was trying, I couldn't get my second workout in, and kind of,
Yeah.
cheated my way through it. I was like, yeah, that doesn't even. I'm not. Yeah, I'm just gonna start over. So that's my take on it, and that's kind of like what I'm doing is like, okay, well, I'm not gonna half-ass it. If I fail, okay, fine, just get back on it.
Yeah.
And because I've seen when I don't do it, I have to have something like that.
Yeah.
Like I have to have good habits. If I don't have good habits and I leave room for bad habits come
Yeah.
much easier than the good habits.
Yeah, because bad habits are easy, comfortable.
Comfortable in the present.
Those damn cookies
in the
I
present.
was talking about.
I know.
Like, who doesn't want cookies?
Yeah.
Everybody does. But I'm trying to not. I'm actually on day 4 of drinking smoothies for breakfast and
There you
having
go.
a smoothie for dinner.
Yeah.
And by smoothie, I don't mean like Smoothie King with a bunch of sugar.
Yeah.
Like literally
Jamba
like
juice.
Yeah, don't even mean that. I mean like my almond milk, my organic almond milk with my organic veggies and fruits that I'm making myself type of a thing. Because I'm Sean, I'm weird. It is what it is. But my point of that is the daily habits that you formed through 75 Hard. I feel like the most beneficial aspect is your ability to manage your time from 75 Hard. Yep. That's my personal take of failing 4 times, however many times. But what habits have you picked up and what are your daily activities that have led where you're, more disciplined on your personal side, and what's the result that you're seeing on the business side?
Sure, absolutely. The best thing that happens when, and what I've taken away from it is the mental toughness aspect of it. So I knew I had to do something different because I was making a pivot in my business into, kind of growing and learning and doing something else. So I knew I had to do something different, intentional, to prepare me for the inevitable and the unknown and the uncharted waters that I was heading towards, to be able to pivot. And what helped me with time management is that it just makes you prioritize.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to get my first workout in. If I don't do it before lunch, meaning I got to get up early and do it before I start my day, it's going to be very, very difficult to get 2 workouts in after work. Oh yeah. And by the way, in order to be able to get up at, 5, 6, 6:30, whatever, 4 a.m., whatever you want to do, you got to go to bed at an early time. Yeah. So what that means is, all right, well, I'm probably not going to be, just watching, random junk or just scrolling on my phone the night before. Yeah. So it kind of, it creates this system where you're like, okay, I have to be intentional about hitting, these items. And then as a byproduct of it, you're a much better husband, much better father, friend. You're a much happier person, to the point that like my kids were asking me when I stopped doing it, like, when are you starting 75 Hard again?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because is that noticeable, right? So like that was a big kind of like takeaway for me, to say like, wow, like this is making me a better individual. If I'm a better individual, I'm impacting the people around me, whether it's, my immediate circle or just, strangers that I just happen to cross paths with throughout the day.
I wish I understood why, myself included, this shot, why laziness is the preferred method of living by so many. Like I'm the one, I fall into the trap of like, I'm gonna like work, right? I get home, I sit on my computer, I start answering emails because I have too many of them. And then inevitably around like 11, I'll get distracted because my brain is just done. Like I'm just over it. And to be honest, I was over it before I even got home. So I shouldn't even be doing that work. I should just like focus here and then come back and focus here in the morning. But you know, I fall into the Instagram reel trap, the YouTube shorts. This morning, literally, I intended to wake up and work out. You know what I did instead? This is embarrassing. I can't believe I'm admitting this.
What is it?
I laid in bed and watched YouTube shorts of Dave Chappelle stand-up comedy for 45 minutes.
That stand-up gets it sucks you
Every
in.
time,
Yeah,
right?
It sucks
I was
you
like,
in. Yeah.
I need a laugh this morning. I think that's what I needed. But like at the same time, I did like a quick round of push-ups and was like, all right, that was embarrassing.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you got to do better, you know? And what I've found personally, the reason I'm trying to make that shift, and I'll probably join you on the 75 hard journey shortly, is I've got to find something to cope with the stress. Like I'm under more stress than I've ever been under personally. So it's one of those like, all right, let me figure out what that step is that's going to help alleviate that stress. And I think back to when I was doing 75 hard, I started feeling really good around day 15. Like the first 14 days suck.
Yeah.
But then you start flipping into like habit and it becomes just like,
It's easier to get you going.
yeah.
In the beginning, you have to kind of like nudge your way in. It's like, oh, I don't feel like doing this, but I know I should. And that's one of the things through 75 hard that I've kind of adopted, where I like just tell myself, you know, should over feel.
Yeah. That's a good one.
It doesn't matter how I feel.
Yeah.
You know, should over feel. And to answer your question, you know, about like why is lazy the norm or the default, is because you know, people think that like, okay, well, it's hard now, and I don't want to do 75 hard or do something to better myself because that requires effort and it's hard. And people are blind, or they think that by not doing something hard, it's going to be easy. It's going to be hard. Either you choose your hard now, or you're going to deal with the hard, you know, by default as your consequences of your bad behaviors. You're going to have a much harder,
living in a wheelchair,
whatever it is, right? So, and the other part of it is distraction. Like it's an uphill battle to stay focused in today's world.
Yeah, true.
Whether you're an adult, even worse if you're, you know, a teenager, you know, even if you're like our parents' age. Like I watch my parents, like it no generation or no age is immune from it, because you just have so many distractions coming at you at all time, you know, with your phone. Technology is great, but like you have to be able to put barriers in front to be able to, you know, make it difficult to be distracted. Yeah. Because if you just say like, oh, I just got to focus more. Well, if you're not if you're not doing anything, right? It's like, so it's like, okay, put your phone away after 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Put your phone away. You know, what I started doing this time to make sure I get up is like, I use the alarm on my phone, but I leave it in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So
Brett does that. He like leaves his phone in the other room or whatever. I've taken some shit for this comment in the past, but I have a big no news rule.
Yeah.
I just won't. Like, I'm not going to watch the news. I don't have news apps on my phone. I don't do any of that. It's not because I don't want to pay attention to like what's happening in the world, but I will cherry pick the information I'm looking for. Like, I want to know what's happening in the market. I'll look at the market real quick. Yep. I want to know what's happening in the real estate market. I'll read a quick little headline, figure out what the Fed's about to do, whatever, but I'm done after that. Because 1, it's a time suck, and 2, it's a distraction, and 3, it's an energy suck, and 4, if you even remotely think about it, look at it, whatever, you're like, what the hell's the point of working anyway?
Yeah, the world's falling apart.
That's what they want you to believe, right?
Exactly.
But our actions dictate our economy. And what I've found personally, and I don't know, you have an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
I have gone hardcore on the downtime settings in my phone. So like I have minute limits for each one. I don't have them on YouTube yet. That's why I was on YouTube Shorts. But I do have them on everything else. So like Instagram, Facebook, whatever, I have like 20 minutes per day that I'm allotted. And then I have all these different modes. And so at like literally at 6 p.m., it shuts off all the apps. And I have to like consciously make an effort to push through it and consciously approve more time.
Yeah.
And like every time I do it, I'm like, bad decision. Scroll. But it's one of those things, like the mechanisms are there to lock yourself out, but is the mechanism here to lock yourself out? Because that's really what matters.
Right.
Is the discipline to say, I don't need to spend my time doing that, or I do need to spend my time doing this.
Right. That's why I think being intentional and filling your time with productive and things that are beneficial to you in the long run is the best way to, combat that.
Yeah.
If you just have idle time, you say like, okay, I'm not going to spend hours on social media. If you're just sitting here and not doing anything, eventually you're going to reach for your phone, right? So it's like you have to be intentional and fill your calendar, fill your time, fill your day with things that you're intentional about and that are going to serve you. And then it's easier to, not get distracted because okay, I made a choice and I'm making this a priority.
Yeah. I once heard, or I've heard many times actually, idle time is the devil's playground. It doesn't have to be like the little red guy with the pitchfork, but like whatever your devil is, right? Like your devil might be social media or whatever. And if you have that idle time, you are going to fall into that trap.
That's right.
So I agree 100%. What is the number one challenge that you are facing in your business right now?
Number one challenge in my business right now, there's multiple. It's just something that I'm working through. Again, lead times, with supplies and so forth, but nothing's astronomical or detrimental to it. And then also subcontractors, you have to be readily available and you have to be there to make sure that like people do what they say they are, and it's a smooth thing. And you have to be able to adapt and to take care and fix things that need to be fixed, and you have to be in charge and take control. I'm seeing this all the time, unfortunately. If a contractor needs something, we agreed to provide, they're not going to tell you until they need it in an hour. It's like,
gotcha.
Yeah, you couldn't have told me this. I was just running around. I could, so things like that. But it's part of the game. Yeah. It's part of the business. So like I was telling you earlier, this morning it's already been super hectic. We're short on drywall, so we had to run around. They send us drywall, send us the wrong size. We had to go bring it back, take it somewhere else, and while one of our guys was running around swapping drywall, me and another guy were fixing the gas leak, going around spraying and running to different supply houses and so forth. So it's all part of the gig. Yeah. You got to be able to, know what you're doing and, take care of things when they come up. And it always happens when you have something on your calendar.
Never fails, right?
Yeah, never fails, right? And my other partner, he was going on vacation and he's like, yeah, we're probably going to cut out by lunch, no problem. I'm like, sure, no problem. It always happens like that, whenever you have somewhere to be, it seems like everything kind of goes against you. And the way I look at it like that is, that's you being challenged in your ability to function in that chaos and to like make things happen when everything's against you. That's what kind of like separates you. And that's what you get, you get like a confidence like, okay, it's going to happen. I'm not saying things aren't going to happen. Fire drills aren't going to happen. They're going to happen. So what am I going to do with it?
Yeah. And then also understanding blips versus emergencies.
Right.
Like when chaos is unfolding, you got to prioritize that chaos a little bit.
Yeah.
I've been living, like I've had my own chaos recently of just like, it feels like there's just this swirling tornado of change or whatever. And then I was reminded of the Mario Andretti quote last night that I posted on my Instagram. It's I'm going to mess it up, but if it feels like everything's under control, you're not going fast enough.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
right.
that quote.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that like we always have to remember in the moment, like, hey, if it feels like chaos, that's good. It means I'm going the right speed.
Yep.
Now it's like, grab the item, fix it, and go from there. But, all right. One piece of advice you'd give to a new realtor coming in for real estate, and then one piece of advice you give for someone to follow their desired niche or dream.
A piece of advice for a realtor coming in, excuse me. A piece of advice for a realtor coming in would be find your strengths and double down on those. When I got started, I mean, everybody, that I talked to was doing 10 different lead generations. And, everybody's do this. And, what I did is, I maybe, tried too many at once, but I tried it. It didn't work. Okay, I'm going to try something else. And then finally, I got to the cold calling, because it was like, okay, at the time I was still working for, telecom, and that was part of my daily responsibility was cold calling. So it made me very, very comfortable on the phone. Not very comfortable, but more comfortable than me, than somebody else. Right. So like, I was like, okay, well, I have to make these cold calls anyway for, my 9-to-5 job at that time. So everybody that I talked to in real estate, nobody is doing it. I was like, there's an opportunity here. Everybody hates it. I don't love it. I hate it just as much, but that's what I'm going to do because there's not that much competition. Should versus feel, right? I don't feel like doing it. I should do it. So that's my advice for somebody coming in. Find what your strengths are and what you are already kind of comfortable with or what you want to do, and just do that. Double down on that. If you love hosting open houses, host as many open houses as you can and just talk to people. If you have a big network and, your sphere is, expansive, double down on that. Yeah. Do that. As far as chasing your, personal goals, personal development, just try to get better every day. It doesn't matter how fast. Don't put a time on it. Don't compete with somebody else. Me today is somebody totally different than me a week ago. Yeah. It's night and day.
The fun part is when people try to like pull you down from that, right?
Right.
Oh, who you trying to be or whatever. Yeah.
Right. My wife said that jokingly. She said,
really?
Yesterday I told her something and she's like, you're on day 2 of 75 hard and you think you're a guru. I was like, so, it was, jokingly, but it was funny, but you're absolutely right about that, So it's like, just strive towards making progress every single day. If you take a penny and you double it 31 times, you know what you get?
A lot more than
over $5.3 million.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
So it's like, just progress a little bit every single day, and you're going to have setbacks. Don't let the setbacks keep you there.
Yep.
Right. Same thing, kind of going to 75 hard is like, whenever I fail, the quicker I get back to it, the better I am. If I fail, I'm like, I don't know when I'm going to start it. Have a plan. Even after you finish it. If you finish 75 hard, okay, what are you doing the next day? Yeah. Start something else. Because if you're like me, you're like, okay, I finished 75 hard. Now what? I've arrived. So now it's like, all right, chips, chocolate, whatever.
Ice cream every night, obviously.
Oh, dude, ice cream. I know.
Yeah, I love ice cream. I used to joke with Brett when Brett was doing 75 hard, because he was like a huge Andy Frisella. Like he's all about Andy, which is fine. Like Andy's accomplished some amazing stuff in his life. I generally agree with Andy's perspectives and stuff. But I don't fanboy over Andy, and Brett does a little bit. And I was like, hey, so like on your right ass cheeks or a tat of Andy's face or something? Like, it's ridiculous. Anyway, all right. Thank you, dude. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on here. Thanks for giving people a look into what you're doing and how you're improving, and hopefully they'll take something. I know I'm literally walking out of here with should versus feel. Because that's something that I've been struggling with. Like, I've been allowing myself to pursue the feel as opposed to the should. So thank you for sharing your knowledge and your expertise and all of those things. How can people find you, or do you want people to find you?
Yeah. No, people can find me. My address is, no, I'm just kidding. No, thanks for having me, man. I'm glad to have a conversation, and I always learn a lot from you, so I'm humbled to even be invited here. Okay. So anything that I could do to help anyone, I don't have all the answers. I'll tell you what I did. You be the judge if you think it's right or wrong. I don't know. I'll tell you what worked for me, tell you what didn't. But probably the best place to find me is going to be either on Facebook. My first and last name, I'm sure, will be tagged. Okay. It'll be easier than if I try to tell you and spell it. And then Instagram is Maximus Flavius. It's on Instagram. So
maximizing your life, my friend.
Maximizing life, being the maximum that I could be. I'm being the maximum Flavius.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. All right. Well, thanks, dude. Appreciate you.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. You can find us everywhere: Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all the places. Again, we're taking a little break after this, but you'll find us soon on season 2.
Hey guys, it's Swy. Thank you for joining us this week, and we really hope you got some useful information and we made your day a little bit better. If you're interested in joining the movement of realtors getting their time and life back, check us out at joinsimpliHome.com on the browser, at simpliHome on socials, or in the description. See you next week.